Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Today on the podcast, my first repeat guest. He and I talked on many occasions, and I never pass up an opportunity, especially as we get closer and closer to the holiday season. Now, he and his bandmates have performed live in front of more than 18 million people since they first went on tour in 1999. They're back for the 2023 holiday season with the Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the Best of TSO, and more. Will you please welcome back one of the founding fathers of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the brilliance of the guitarist, musical director, Pitrelli. Welcome back, my friend.
My friend, it's so good to hear your voice, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I've never been called a founding father, and I actually feel older than I am right now, so I appreciate that.
You and I are getting a little older, a little, let's say, a little longer in the tooth. Now, I know it's
no joke.
I know it's September, but there's a special reason why Al's on today's show. Tickets for the 2023 The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the Best of TSO, and more go on sale tomorrow. All right, mark your calendars right now. Friday, September 15th, 10 a.m. local time. And here's the deal. Special priced $39 tickets are being offered for the first week of sale or while supplies last. Now, Al, we talked last year. How does the 2023 tour compare to last year's show?
Well, you and I have talked many times, okay? And one of the things that I've mentioned is that every year we complete a tour. It's like winning the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, absolutely an amazing year, wonderful attendance. People showed up. The band kicked it. Everybody had a great time. Everybody's holiday tradition is intact. What a wonderful celebration. And we're done. That doesn't have anything to do with what we're going to do next year, because just like a football team who won the Super Bowl, you got to go back to square one and start all over again, every year. And that's a work ethic that was instilled in us by Paul O'Neill and his family. It's like, okay, just because we accomplished, that in 22, no guarantee for 23. So let's get back to the drawing board. We take a week off after the tour. Management, the department heads, the O'Neill family, everybody gets together and starts talking about, okay, how can we make it better than last year? How can we make it bigger than last year? And we've been doing it. That kind of work ethics have been with us since probably, the jump. 28 years since we recorded these things, 25 years since we've been touring.
Where did the time go? It seems like just yesterday,
Jeez, oh my God, brother, you are not kidding. I mean, we're watching a football game. It's like I look at the coaches, and the coaches look like kids to me now.
Gosh, yeah, and I know.
And listen, getting old is just whatever. You're not going to do anything about it, and I'm enjoying it. But you just said it went by in a flash, and I remember my dad, rest his soul, told me years ago, if you're having a good life, it's going to go by in 5 minutes. And I mean, I look at the calendar and I look at, here we are. It just seems like we talked yesterday about last year's tour, and here we are talking about 2023.
All right.
It's crazy.
This time, 62 cities, 104 performances beginning November 5th. And like we talked last year, you guys take very little downtime. It's just a matter of days. You go back and spend some time with your families after New Year's, and then you pick up the pace and you go to the drawing board. Can you kind of take us through the process of preparing for the 2023 tour? What is the process as far as you guys just come up with a game plan, or how does it all come together?
Well, first and foremost, it's like, what story do we want to perform? Okay, last year we did the Ghosts of Christmas Eve, and it was so well received last year that we've decided, okay, let's do that again. People have really adopted that as their holiday tradition. A lot of families around America just love that story. So if you think about that, okay, there's the centerpiece of the show. We're going to do the Ghosts of Christmas Eve. Now, we have to make it look different, with the production, the lights, the lasers, the pyro, the moving trusses, the video, blah, 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 blah. So our department heads are constantly working around the clock just to make things even more spectacular. Musically, we'll have conversations starting, the end of January. What songs haven't we done in either a long time, or what songs have we never done? Remember, keep in mind that I'd say 50 to 60% of the folks in that audience are what I affectionately refer to as repeat offenders. Yeah. They've been coming to see us for decades.
Raising my hand for sure.
No joke. Yeah, me too. So they come back to see the story and the familiarity, but like, how can we surprise them? Because they know this catalog, fairly well, and it's a very deep catalog. We have a lot of wonderful material, that Paul O'Neill brought to us. So we always try to pull something out. How can we? What songs haven't haven't we done? How can we present this? What are we going to do? You know, and again, it's like rebuilding a Super Bowl team. You know, like Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs from last year. You know, you guys won that ring last year, and now, you know, let's go. You're 0-1. Let's keep building. Let's keep working. Let's make this even better.
Well, absolutely. I know you're going to have a winning season this year. One of the songs that you'll hear on the tour this year is one of my personal favorites. It's Good King Joy. Now, this is a combination of Joy to the World and Good King Wenceslas. How do you take a traditional holiday song and make it a TSO song?
If I answer you, I'm lying. So what I'm going to say is that is one of the parts of Paul O'Neill's genius, okay?
Uh-huh.
There's an interesting quote I read by a gentleman named Leonard Bernstein not too long ago, and he was talking about Beethoven. And he would say the genius of Beethoven is being accessible but not ordinary. You know, and I found that kind of put me back on my heels on how to think about that statement, how applicable that is to so many other scenarios in my life. So I'm going to take that quote and apply it to Paul O'Neill. Everything's very, very accessible, but none of it was ordinary. Yeah. And I think that was the balance and the magic that he possessed. You know, to take these, you know, these motifs, these themes, these musical pieces that we're all so familiar with, and how could you turn it sideways just enough to make it different? But, you know, it's not going to be ordinary, but people just love it. And people like from 3 years old to 93 years old, you know, so that's a very unique gift that he has.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's play that song right now from Christmas Eve and Other Stories. Here's one of my personal favorites, Good King Joy from Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Now it was long ago when it all began, back in Bethlehem, in the promised land. A single star appeared in the sky, and three kings saw, and the east as wide, east as wide. And they checked the books full of prophecy, and the one king said, why, it's plain to me, you see it means that a king is born, who saved mankind on this blessed morn, blessed morn. So they packed some gold, myrrh and frankincense on some old camels with some fancy tents, closed down the house, set the servants free, and three kings rode into history.
Great song right there. One of my all-time Christmas favorites, Good King Joy from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's Rick Anthony with you here on the Someone You Should Know podcast. Before we continue, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I invite you to check out our podcast on the web at Someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. There you're going to find recent news, our archive of past episodes, and a whole lot more. And if you're visiting, by all means, give us a review. Let us know how we're doing, okay? And we're so blessed to reach so many cities around the world. This time we'd like to salute Montpelier, Vermont, Athens, Georgia, and Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Someone You Should Know podcast heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. Now it's time to go back to our dear friend Al Pitrelli. Now, Al, I just mentioned Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's where the East Group starts on November 15th. You are the musical director of the West Group, and you're going to start in Council Bluffs, Iowa, also on November 15th. Returning faces, new members we should know about that's been added to the team?
Not in my band. I mean, I have such an incredible bunch of people that have been together for like a long time now, and the chemistry is just spot on. I mean, I don't really want to mess with it. I have an incredible bunch of singers. Just the crew, most of the crew has been with me for 20 years. So, no changes on my side. Maybe one or two changes on the other side. I think they added a couple new singers. So it's just going to be fantastic. Again, there's a certain familiarity that the repeat offenders share with the band that, I recognize a lot of the folks in the audience, and obviously they recognize most of the people on the stage. So, that kind of sets the tone for the evening.
Is Chris still the musical director for the East Group?
Derek Wheeling.
Oh, Derek is now. Oh, I remember Derek. Yeah, okay, very good. Awesome.
Yeah, Derek's a Juilliard graduate, amazing musician, just one of those dudes, and, he runs a good ship over there. I'm very proud of what he's doing.
Very good. Now, the late, great Paul O'Neill once shared with me some stats about the amount of pyro you guys use. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, I've been to several of your gigs to where I was like maybe a dozen rows back, and the heat that you guys generate from those flames and such, it's like, well, God gosh, I guess I've got a nice tan now.
Yeah, no kidding. It's kind of like when you open up your oven and you're checking on the meatloaf and you get hit with that 500-degree blast. It's like, oh my. Listen, Dad, you go, Paul, we all went down the pyro rabbit hole years ago. Yeah. So pyro 20 years ago was a lot different than it is now. Like you'd have, the occasional pyro burst of flame shoots. Like, ooh, that's cool. Uh-huh. But, Paul got together with a guy named Doug Adams, who runs our pyro team. And Paul said, Paul always wanted the lights and everything to sync up to, like, all the subtleties in the music, And I remember Doug saying, well, I can program the pyro to dance to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And Paul went, I double dare you, And once everybody went down that rabbit hole, it was on, So, pyro is a cool thing, but when pyro is actually part of the music, and it's moving across the stage in perfect sync with everything I'm playing, or the drums are playing, or the keyboards are playing, it's something very special.
I got to tell you,
how much pyro do we have? Yeah. We have all of it. There's a propane shortage in America for the 6 weeks, and we have all of it.
I got to tell you, anytime you go to a TSO show, you are going to get the lights, you're going to get the sounds, you're going to get the vibe. You're going to actually walk out of there exhausted because it's just such a wonderful experience. I've been asked numerous times, what is your favorite concert? I always say TSO. Why is that? Why is that? It's a Christmas concert. The thing is, it's way more than that. It's lasers, it's pyro, it's great music, it's wonderful musicianship. It is just an all-encompassing experience. Another fan favorite song that's coming back this season is Christmas Canon. This was a song that was set to Pachelbel's Canon in D major. Your thoughts on this song? Al, you've played it for years and years and years. What's your thoughts?
Well, again, it was a very familiar piece of music that, Paul beautifully orchestrated and TSOized it, The funny thing that's occurred over the decades is that, we'll hit the downbeat of that song. It's a very, beautiful moment in the show. And at least once a year, some dude grabs his girlfriend in the audience, brings him to the front of the stage. The girls are shaking their heads from the left to the right. We're playing that theme. And he gets down on one knee.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm on stage kind of like looking down. The girls are looking at me. I'm like, just keep dancing, shake your head, start singing when you got to start singing. And this is going to go one of two ways for the dude.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so you got 17,000 people transfixed on this guy on the knee and the expression on the girl's face, and she better say yes, otherwise it's going to be a very long song.
That is going to be a long ride home, too.
And so, of course, I've never seen anybody decline, but she says yes, the audience applauds, and the girls exhale, and then they can start to sing their song. So I don't know when it became a wedding song. Like, my older brother got married a bunch of years ago, and he's like, hey, dude, can you bring an acoustic guitar and play, the Christmas Canon at my wedding? I'm like, okay. Again, going back to Paul. Paul wanted to create an art form, and the art form has taken hold in people. I mean, never did I think that Christmas Eve Sarajevo would become like such a radio favorite around the holidays. And never did I think that the canon would become a wedding song.
There you go. There you go.
And there it is.
We're going to feature that right now from 1998, the album Christmas Attic, TSO, and A Christmas Canon right here on the Someone You Should Know podcast. Absolutely fabulous song, whether you use it at a wedding or you hear it during the Christmas season, a Christmas canon right there from TSO. Now, in case you don't know this, TSO has sold more than 12 million CDs to date. They've played, like I said before, in front of 18 million fans since 1999. But the coolest thing that they do is something that I really and truly love them for. At every concert, they give at least $1 from every ticket sold to local charities. To date, get this, gang, $18 million in donations, more than that. Al, thank you so much. And Paul O'Neill, thank you for doing that from the start.
Oh, no joke. I mean, that's all Paul O'Neill, his family, his wife and his daughter. I mean, they're so generous, on a different level of generosity. And, I've been friends with Paul since 1985 when we first met. And I remember kicking around New York City with him, whether we were going out to a club or to a studio, whatever we were doing. And every time, we'd be talking and walking, and he'd stop and hand somebody a $5 bill, a $20 bill, $10, whatever he had in his pocket. And I'd ask him, I go, what's up with that? I mean, first of all, it's very sweet of you to do so, but, he did it a lot. And he goes, look, man, the $5 is not going to change my life, but it may change that person's day. And if I could change their day, maybe they have the possibility of a brighter tomorrow. And that's the same sentiment with the $1 per every ticket. $1 doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot of money, but like you just said, $1 from every ticket we've ever sold since 99 is 18 million tickets, do the math. Mm-hmm. And Paul and his family have made a change in the world, and I'm very proud and blessed to be part of something so extraordinary.
It is so amazing. Absolutely love that. Now, Al, you've been part of not only Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but you've been involved with Alice Cooper and Asia and Megadeth and so many others. And you've had your share of load-ins and you've had your share of load-outs. And especially with TSO, when you've got all this hydraulics and pyro and so many people on stage, there are times when things don't necessarily go quite as planned. This next feature is called Tales from the Road. Those are those infamous road stories where things didn't go quite as planned. Now, you've got a huge gamut of different places that you've played and such. Can you give us one?
Oh, absolutely. Like it was yesterday, dude. So we load into Kansas City. Well, I'm on the bus. The crew's there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Double show day. We've never missed a downbeat for a sound check, or we've never missed a downbeat for a show. And I kind of get off the bus. I'm having my coffee. Let's say it's, 10:30, quarter to 11, whatever. And I walk through, and the production manager comes up to me. And he goes, hey, good morning, boss. And I'm like, yeah, good morning. What's going on? He's like, no, nothing, a little chaotic. And I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, we lost one of the trucks last night in a snowstorm. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, is that bad? He goes, could be. I'm like, well, which truck? He goes, the one with the stage. And I'm like, okay. And he said, listen, he goes, go, get another cup of coffee, go do your thing, whatever, I'll figure it out. And I don't know if they were into Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever lumberyard, they bought 2x4s, plywood, some milk crate. I don't know what the heck they did, but we had our show at downbeat at 3 o'clock, and our stage was there. I'm not sure where they got it from. That's the thing that folks in the audience will never, and they shouldn't know this, why would they know it? But they'll never know what goes into putting that show on. I walk on that stage at 3 o'clock to 7:30, whatever time the show is, and I put a guitar around my neck, and we go. The 85 or 90 crew people that travel with us are the ones with the daunting task of making sure this goes on without a hitch every day, no matter what. And that's why I tip my hat to these folks every show, because I could never do my job without them. They're amazing. Absolutely. And I've never, ever, ever missed a downbeat of a show, because the folks in the audience, listen, well, you just said Council Bluffs is my first show, right? Yep. Okay, let's just say off the top of my head, by the time I get to San Antonio, on December 9th, maybe it's my 40th show, but it's their first show. You follow me? Yeah, exactly. And everybody's entitled to a perfect first show. And, we've been trained and taught how to do this by Paul O'Neill. The O'Neill family carries on, this tradition, and we just don't know how not to do it. So we're going to rehearse that show 2 or 3 times a day for 3 or 4 weeks, making sure that everything from backing the trucks into the venue to the violin solo on a specific song is spot on. And that's just how we do business. That's what we love about you guys. Absolute perfectionism from the person who's selling the tickets to the person who is leading the band like yourself. Once again, tickets for 2023, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, The Best of TSO, and more go on sale tomorrow. That is Friday, September 15th. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. local time.
Specially priced tickets, $39, are being offered for the first week of sales or while supplies last. If you need more information, their website is trans-siberian.com. The tour kicks off November 15th, the Reach Center in Green Bay, and as Al and I were just talking, Mid-America Center, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Get your tickets now. And as Al and I have said numerous times, they make great early Christmas gifts, right?
Yes, sir. They do. Listen, I just went to Costco yesterday, and all the Christmas stuff is up, so it's fine.
We're going to wrap up the podcast with a TSO song that has been streamed more than 50 million times, Christmas Eve, Sarajevo. And once again, Al, thank you so much for being on the podcast once again, and I'll talk to you again next fall.
My brother, always good to hear your voice. Thank you for having me. Congratulations. You're doing amazing on your side, and I look forward to seeing you and talking to you in the very near future. All my love to you and the family.
God bless you. Hey, boy, how's your boys doing? Are they still in the military?
Yeah, two of them still are. One just made Master Chief, and my youngest son, who was in the Navy, just got accepted into the Space Force, so he just turned into Buzz Lightyear.
Rock on. Hey, do what I did. I did 20 years Air Force. Stick it out for 20, at least 20.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Oh, they're both career. They are absolutely both career.
Give them my love, okay, please? From one.
And back at you. Thank you so much for your 20 years of service, and God bless you.
God bless you, brother. Take care, and I'll get this off to Alan Romblefinger.
Love it. I'll see you soon, dude.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.